The Hayes Trinity Groundwater Conservation District was established by the Texas legislature and confirmed by the electorate to protect and conserve the Trinity Aquifer, the primary source of water for western Hayes County. But exactly what is an aquifer? Put simply, it is a geologic formation that produces usable water to springs and wells. The Trinity Aquifer is a system of underground water stored and channeled through layers of porous limestone sandwiched between dense impermeable rock. Groundwater moves downward through fractures and cavities in the limestone along bedding planes. The Trinity Aquifer is divided into 3 levels. The upper Trinity supplies water to springs, creeks, and shallow wells. In times of prolonged drought, it is the first to go dry. Most groundwater in this area, however, comes from the Middle Trinity, which is the source for a famous artesian spring in Wimberley, Texas, known as Jacob's Well, the source of the Cypress Creek. It is a good place to view the geologic features that make it possible for the Trinity Aquifer to be productive.
This is the pathway down to Jacob's Well.
Our guides are Alex Brown, a geologist and former president of the Hayes Trinity Groundwater Conservation District, and Renee Barker, a hydrologist with the Edwards Aquifer Research and Data Center at Texas State University, San Marcos.
You see cracks in the rock, you see fractures in the rock, water permeating down through the bedrock into the more soluble layers and forming a cave. Imagine that deep in the ground, deep in the subsurface, 100 or 200 feet below us, and you can imagine where water may be stored in Trinity Aquifer.
The limestone formations that contain the Trinity Aquifer formed over 100 million years ago, when much of Texas was covered by a warm, shallow sea and dinosaurs roamed the marshy shore.
Here's a big oyster. Here's an oyster. See right there?
The skeletal remains of tiny sea creatures, clams and oysters, bonded together over geologic time into formations of limestone, some hard and some soft, the more soluble layers eroding over time to produce pockets or voids of various sizes, everything from microscopic pores to large caves to layers honeycombed with open spaces.
Oftentimes those honeycomb zones yield are very productive zones to a well.
All groundwater recharge comes initially from rain. It's estimated that less than 5% of annual rainfall reaches the Trinity Aquifer. Stormwater runoff flows into creeks and rivers and is carried downstream. During this process, creeks may recharge the aquifer. Not far from Jacob's Well, the Blanco River disappears underground, losing water to the aquifer before emerging once again several hundred yards downstream. It is possible that some of the water may also be making its way underground to Jacob's Well, several miles away, where it is discharged again to the surface.
Water that percolates the stream channel as we see it here and upstream, because we're at a higher elevation than the outflow point of Jacob's Well, the water that seeps into the ground is potentially recharging Jacob's Well.
It's the relationship of the aquifer to rainwater runoff and surface water recharge that points up its vulnerability to man-made and animal-sourced pollution. Protecting the aquifer from contamination is a major concern for everyone who depends on the aquifer for drinking water. Throughout the area, there are a number of karst features, open channels through surface rock that feed directly down into the aquifer.
So this is a sinkhole. It's a recharge feature, which will give you an idea that pollution, these things can be polluted very, very quickly.
Not only must the groundwater district protect against aquifer contamination, but it must also help ensure this vital resource isn't depleted by overuse, especially during times of drought. The exchange from surface to underground and back to surface, minus the water extracted by wells sunk into the aquifer, is what's called the water budget. The goal is to maintain a balance. But some monitoring wells, checked periodically by groundwater district personnel,
34.6,
show a declining water table, even through periods of normal rainfall. New wells are being drilled deeper to reach the lower Trinity, which has less desirable water quality. But perhaps most significantly, since 2000, Jacob's Well has stopped flowing for the first, second, and third times in recorded history. On this fall day, 2011, we are walking in a portion of the Blanco River that normally holds water.
Under wetter conditions than we're experiencing right now, at the onset of this drought, we would be walking in surface water. We would be walking in water flowing downstream through this channel. But the sources of water which would normally provide for that surface water are dried up.
Quoting from a draft of the Texas Water Development Board's most recent 5-year report, in serious drought conditions, Texas does not and will not have enough water to meet the needs of its people and its businesses and its agricultural enterprises. With the projected doubling of hill country population over the next 50 years, according to state demographers, and predictions of an increasingly drier and warmer climate, maintaining and conserving precious water resources is of vital importance to the Groundwater Conservation District and the residents of Hays County. The Trinity Aquifer is truly more than a hole in the ground. It is the very basis of life in the hill country.